Welcome back to Coven, Season 3. This is a podcast where we commune with our dream coven, bringing to light the lost stories of enigmatic people throughout history whose fascinating lives echo the complex archetype of the witch. Today, we have the privilege to welcome Vero Collins. She's in the master's program at California Institute of Integral Studies in the Philosophy, Cosmology, and Consciousness program. Vero focuses on archetypal astrology, the research of Stan Grof's psychedelic therapy, and Carl Jung's typology.
Yes, I was in a class with Vero and she described typology to all of us. She did an amazing presentation. I was like, we have to interview her.
Mm-hmm. No, we're super excited. She also has a really sick YouTube channel that she's starting called Archetype Pilled,
yes.
Archetype Pilled.
Yeah. And she's a DJ.
Yeah, a DJ. Pop culture expert, typology expert, astrologer. Just in general, really sick person that we're really excited to welcome today.
I'm really honored to be here.
Thanks for being here. And Vero lives in Mexico.
Yes, Monterrey, Mexico.
But is visiting LA right now, and so we are currently recording this on the summer solstice on June 21st, 2025, which is, as we all know, an insane time in the world, but we're happy to be here building something that's in direct opposition to all of this, trying to actively build the world we want to live in resistance. And so I'm happy that we're here and safe and that we're able to do this with you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Feel the same way. Yeah.
Awesome. So, do we want to talk about our magic moments?
Yeah, let's go ahead and share. For every episode, we like to talk about magic moments, which are just synchronicities, anything that felt magical or aligned in some kind of way that happened recently. So, do you have a magic moment?
Yeah, I do. I've had a couple of magic moments recently. I've realized that, so lately what I've been doing is when I record our bi-weekly astrology forecasts, I've been taking my dog Lucita for a walk around the neighborhood, and I just always lately seem to see something that is connected to whatever is going on astrologically. Mm-hmm. So like this last time I was talking about what I was talking about, and there were just things around the neighborhood that I just kept seeing that were completely in alignment with what's going on astrologically, and that just keeps happening over and over again. So
just everything seems to be popping up in physical expressions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
Should I go?
Yeah. Do you have a magic moment?
Yeah, it's actually not that recent. It's a full circle that I'm gonna talk about this because it's about kind of exactly last year when I was also here in LA. So I came to LA with some of my friends because we were going to Coachella after, but we came to visit LA because we've never been here the days prior to the festival. And we realized, like, one of the days that we were here, that same day, one of the girls from one of the bands that we were gonna see in Coachella, they're called Black Country New Road. Amazing band. If you should check them out, definitely. Yeah. One of the girls was gonna do a free concert
cool.
here in LA in a house in Hollywood Hills. Mm-hmm. So when we were in the house, you could see the Hollywood sign.
Wow.
Right outside. How do you say in the window or whatever you could see the Hollywood sign. And it was kind of synchronistic because for once it was one of the bands that we were the most excited to see in the festival, and we didn't know that this was going to happen, and we were here the same day that it happened, and we tried to get there by Uber, but we couldn't get there, so the Uber just left us like in the middle of the street, in a random street, because he like kind of like gave up. So we were standing there, and then we saw like a couple, how do you say, like walking by, and they were like, oh, are you going to this event? Like, you can follow us. And we followed them, and like we would have not been able to get there without them, because it was very difficult to get to the house. And then we arrived, and a lot of the other members of the band were there. And then one of the other girls, one of the members, sat right next to me. And we started like making conversation. And then like after, like the event was wonderful because it was also like 20 people. So we had like sort of like a, how do you say, like a private concert.
Oh my gosh, that's so
yeah.
bad.
Yeah. And then we were able to talk to the girl who sang, like after, like the presentation. And we were like, right, like we were like on a terrace, and we were talking to her, and she was like smoking, and you could see the Hollywood sign. So I don't know, it was honestly
like a
kind
movie.
yeah, it was like kind of a movie thing. And I've had like a few things happen recently that are kind of like that even if they're like celebrity interactions or silly things like that, it's like they make you, like they allow you to believe in that dreams can happen, or like things that you never thought would happen, and you like, I didn't plan them, like they kind of happened randomly. So yeah,
I love that. I was just talking with Josh, who's our, as you all know, audio engineer in this, and also my partner. But I was just talking with Josh about LA in that way of, even without any of the people in LA, there's an energy to LA that feels movie-like.
yeah,
It feels dream-like. It feels like there's like this dreamy, mystical quality here. Like, we're all astrologers here. I feel like if LA was an archetype, was a planet, I feel like Neptune.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
would be a huge planet for LA. What else? Neptune and like
maybe like Neptune, Uranus.
Neptune,
like the
Uranus.
Combination of like not technology like in a San Francisco way, but
The
like
visionary.
filmmaking. Yeah, yeah,
True. Yeah, because I feel like San Francisco is so Uranus, and
yeah.
and LA has Neptune, maybe like Neptune and Jupiter,
Oh yeah.
because you
I
have
can
the
see that.
like expanded egos here too, and you
Yeah.
have the like
Yeah.
superstars and that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
definitely.
Yeah, but for whatever I mean, if it is Neptune, Jupiter, if we're going off of that, it carries this like
Yeah.
big, bold dreaminess to it.
Yeah.
Almost like right when you drive in, you start to feel it, or at least I did.
Definitely,
Yeah.
same. Yeah, so it makes sense that being here, having those types of experiences.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for
Oh.
sharing.
Of course.
So for this next part of the podcast, typically when we're telling the stories, we will bring up this person's birth chart and go through it. So today we have Vero's chart pulled
Oh
up.
my god.
And we're going to just talk about some things that we notice in Vero's chart first, and then we're going to talk more about who Vero is, where they came from, the kinds of just their expertise, their story, and then we'll continue to reference their chart throughout. But we can start with just a general overview of the things that Coco and I noticed. Do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, sure. One of the very first things that popped out to me was your Venus, Jupiter, Mercury stellium in the 12th house in Aries. And I was, there's some interaction between that house and the 8th house, and also the fact that you're a Scorpio moon is very interesting. So there's a lot of hidden things, I guess, that are hidden themes, or the themes of hiding or digging things up that are hidden, like looking into the unconscious through typology. And I was just wondering how that showed up for you. Like, do you feel like your 12th house placements are something that are prominent for you in?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny, I was talking to Jenna about this. When I started getting into astrology, I think this is probably like the most popular, system, because I feel like most people that get into astrology use Placidus. So like I originally like started with Placidus, and even in Placidus I have my Venus as well in the 12th house, and then I also have Saturn in the 12th house. And I completely relate to having placements in the 12th house. With whole sign it changes, as you said, a little bit, because it would be Venus, Mercury, and Jupiter. And it's hard because I can sort of relate to both. But either way, I definitely have 12 house placements. Yeah. Something, kind of unrelated, but something that I've been thinking about a lot, and that I've also been thinking a lot about, particularly because of learning about Stanislav Grof and his research. And I'll just quickly say, a part of his research is about birth trauma and trauma, or even if it's not like negative trauma, but like kind of like conditioning that you get from when you're in your mom's womb, or like what happens in your literal birth. And I had a lot of things happen, when I was in my mom's womb. And I've also heard that the 12th house is in some schools of thought, I guess, representative of like what happens when you're,
Right
when your
before.
mom is pregnant, right before birth.
I've heard that too.
I hadn't heard of that before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so I don't want to go into it too much, but my parents broke up when my mom was pregnant with me. And I was born 2 months before I was supposed to. And I was born like upside down, and I had like a heart condition when I was born. And what else, I didn't cry for the first few seconds, and that is like significant. And I had a lot of things happen, during when my mom was pregnant with me. Like, she was depressed, and like a lot of things. So I feel like that definitely shaped me in a way, and I feel like that's sort of like representative of my 12 house placements. That I feel like the conditioning that I've had because of my time in my mom's womb and in my birth, I think like the result of that might be my 12 house placements. I don't want to say that it's like a punishment, but the 12 house sometimes does feel like a punishment.
Yeah.
So but yeah, like on another note, that's something that I've been thinking about. So
that's super interesting.
But on another note, I definitely feel like even if the 12th house has felt a little difficult, in the normal sense of like, I don't know, growing up like shy, or growing up and feeling like sometimes feeling a little invisible, which is kind of like a, it's a weird thing for me, because I have, a lot of, not a lot in whole sign, but at least I have my sun, which is very important, in the 11th house, and then I have some 10th house placements. So like in a sense, I do feel like seen, or I feel like kind of like in the public eye, or
right,
but then I also have like 12 house placements that make me feel like kind of, unseen and misunderstood, and like growing up like shy and
right,
all of that. But something good that has come about because of my 12 house placements, as you said, is, kind of like getting into things that are more hidden, like typology, like astrology, like the collective unconscious. All of those things, I'm probably going to talk about it later, but they came very like synchronistically, and it's like I feel like all the negative things about the 12th house like have kind of transformed the more that I get into all these things and into philosophy, and the more that I understand everything that's hidden, I can kind of enjoy those placements more, and all of the negative traits of those placements don't feel as negative, or even like transform into something good.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you're saying like transform and how you're able to kind of turn it around, because you have that trine from Jupiter and Mercury to Chiron in your 8th house.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the trauma, you're able to take it and have a different relationship with it and use it to do what you love, right?
Yeah.
Alchemize it.
Yeah.
Especially with, I think Scorpio placements are like the placement for alchemy.
Yeah.
Total rebirth, transformation, taking the darkness and like transmuting it into fuel and energy. And so having those placements and having the trine, I was thinking about that too. Specifically the minor grand trine that we were talking about before this. But you have Mercury at 3 degrees, exactly trining Chiron at 3 degrees. So it's Mercury in Aries in the 12th house at 3 degrees, forming an exact trine with Chiron in Sagittarius in the 8th house at 3 degrees. And then both of those are sextiling Neptune in the 10th house in Aquarius at 3 degrees. So that makes what is called a minor grand trine. And that's like a super harmonious, supportive energy. It means all of these support one another. But Neptune is also the planet of illusion and like fog and what is hidden and confusion. And the 8th house and the 12th house are both associated with hidden things and the unknown and the unseen. And so it makes sense what you're talking about of being, feeling very isolated and feeling very hidden from the world, or blocked in those ways, but that it also works together, especially being in your 10th house, being like the top of that is like that side of you is what is seen, is what is publicized, is what the world sees of you.
Yeah.
And yet it's still this like kind of...
And you also mentioned the word transformative, and Pluto is also right there conjunct Chiron, so making a trine to Jupiter and Venus more so than Mercury, but and how Pluto is ruling your 7th house, which is about the other. And I was just wondering, with typology and with astrology, what kind of do you want to have a practice eventually? What do you want to do with and with Stanislav Grof's therapy, I guess? What are your plans?
Yeah, that's something that I've been figuring out. I have done some readings, honestly, more for friends and family, and I do like it. But at the same time, I do know that I have, this 7th house focus. And I honestly, I do enjoy doing readings. But for some reason, also when it comes to typology, when it comes to astrology, or Stanislav Grof, I think I would be interested in, for example, doing the certificate to be able to, how do you say, facilitate the breath work, I think. But at the same time, I feel like that's not, working one-on-one is not necessarily what I enjoy the most. I think what I enjoy the most is, sharing it more online or to a wider audience, which I feel like it's, my 11th house sun. Definitely,
We were talking about that because I was telling Jenna, I was like, you should have seen her presentation. It was amazing. I can just see her in the future being on Zoom, teaching a bunch of people about typology.
Yeah, well, and your interest in, and we are, I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves. We can go back. No, that's okay. We can backtrack and get more into this. But yeah, I feel like your 11th house sun is super significant because you have all this stuff that wants to dive underneath in the surface, but then your interest in like pop culture and like celebrity culture, I think can be seen in the 11th house sun of like 11th house really does symbolize, I feel like, celebrity culture and how celebrities represent like the archetypes. They're like these like embodiment of the collective archetypes. And so they're a really fun place to look if you want to understand the collective archetypes, I feel. It's like a really fun lens to kind of explore that through. And I think your 11th house sun, you're like shining, illuminating that.
Absolutely. I feel like my chart can be like kind of at odds sometimes, because I feel like I have, you know, these 12 house placements, these Scorpio placements, a little bit of the 8th house, like Lilith, you know, like these very like more like dark, hidden, you know, heavy things. And then I have, you know, like my sun in the 11th house, and then I have like a lot of Jupiter aspects, or, you know, I have like this midheaven emphasis that I don't want to say that is more superficial, but like it can be, or like a lot more fun. And what I hopefully want to achieve in my work, at least with, you know, like the content that I'm doing on archetypal astrology and typology and Grof and all of that, is to kind of like mix high and low. Like, I think that those things don't have to be exclusive necessarily, you know, like I can analyze, you know, celebrity culture through, you know, all these very like hidden, you know, collective unconscious type things.
Exactly.
Which I think is cool.
I love that. And I feel like that's where you and I connect a lot, because I love that too. I feel like my favorite part about like watching, like I don't keep up that much with pop culture things, but I feel like I do more than most. And what's interesting about it is just to be able to observe it from that lens. It gives you this like really deep understanding of what's going on in the collective consciousness. And when you're able to communicate with that language, these kinds of things in that language, it helps the collective understand the deeper topics a little bit easier. Like when you're talking about pop culture, you know, that's something that so many people can connect with, that so many people, it feels digestible, it feels easy to like interact with. And so talking about pop culture through that lens is like a way to get more people aware of or feeling comfortable with.
I've definitely thought about that. Like, I mean, honestly, like it's not because of like a marketing perspective that I want to do this. I think it's more because like it's what I'm genuinely interested in. But at the same time, like for example, I was writing some essays for Numinous Realm, which is a how do you say, like a newspaper that some friends from PCC have. And last year I wrote about Brad Summer and how it is very Uranus, Jupiter-Uranus, when we had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And then Brad Summer happened like right, you know, at, like when the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction was like peaking. And I honestly, like, I wrote that paper or that essay because I was like, I saw the connection and I was like, oh my God, I have to talk about this. But then I realized that like a lot of people were drawn to it. So I was like, oh, maybe this is what I have to do, you know, to like draw people in. So
definitely, it's really powerful, I think, through that lens. I read that essay. It's so good. Highly recommend. Everybody should read it. And I thought the same thing, because I could go on about the significance of tying in those things with the archetypes, but because it is just like that is like that's our modern mythology. Like our mythology of the day is pop culture, is this like celebrity culture.
And we're obsessed, I feel like, in this society with not looking at the shadow side of things. And I think that the shadow side of things is actually looking at it, really diving into it is what's going to save us personally. That's just...
Agree.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and that's what Coven is all about. I feel like every person that we cover is somebody who does that, who like takes something on the surface and just rips it open and goes underneath. So you're the perfect person to interview for Coven. And I guess we can segue with that and go into, let's back up and talk about where you're from. Where are you from?
So I'm from Monterrey, Mexico, where I live right now. I went to college in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I went to Lehigh University. So I lived there for 4 years, but now I'm back in Monterrey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've lived in Monterrey for most of my life.
That's awesome. What was your undergrad?
My undergrad was philosophy and psychology.
Oh,
I
cool.
knew. I was going to ask if it was psychology.
Really? Yeah.
I didn't
Pretty
realize
much,
that.
yeah.
I didn't realize it was
Yeah.
philosophy and psychology in your undergrad.
Yeah.
Is that when you started studying astrology? Like, when did you said you've been into typology for like over a decade.
Yeah. So actually, this is kind of like it all ties to like how I'm in PCC right now, or why I'm in PCC right now, I think. So like all throughout my life, like until like, how do you say, like most of high school, but like since middle school, high school, like what I wanted to do was fashion. So like I wanted to study fashion. I wanted to be like a fashion editor or a fashion writer. And then like very synchronistically, one day, I don't know, like it wasn't even for a class or anything, but I actually remembered that I had to take the MBTI test for a class. And then for some reason,
What test?
like the 16
Myers-Briggs.
personalities, so the
The
Myers-Briggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had to take that for a class, but I took it and I was like, oh cool, like I sort of related to the type that I got, which is actually not my type, but I was like, oh yeah, whatever. So like I took it, and then like let's say like 6 months to a year later, I remember that I took it and I was like, oh, like I actually don't remember what I got, like I'm gonna take it again. So then I took it again, and I actually got my actual type, which is INFP, which is also what Jenna is. Yeah. And I was
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
No. So yeah, like I got INFP, and I was like, oh my god, like I think this also sort of ties in to my 12 house placements, that I always felt like unseen and misunderstood in some ways. And then I read that, and I was like this is me, like I've never felt more seen. So like I got obsessed with typology ever since, and I started studying like obsessively, and then I started like analyzing my friends and family's types, and I would tell everyone about it, and yeah, I just got completely obsessed. And then because I was like, oh my god, like I realized that typology is real, you know, because a lot of people are skeptical, but I feel like the more that you analyze it and the more that you see it, like I don't know anyone who knows about it in depth and doesn't believe in it or doesn't know it.
Astrology.
Yeah, and with astrology it's pretty much the same. So I was like, wait, if this is true, is astrology also true? And, you know,
I feel like I've said like the Enneagram to astrology pipeline.
Oh, yeah.
I call that all the time, but I feel like it's the same. Myers-Briggs to astrology pipeline. It's just like the personality test to astrologer pipeline. It's so...
Yeah,
That's
it's common,
nice.
probably, yeah. So yeah, I then like looked up my chart, and I've always, how do you say, like, resonated with being a Pisces, but I sort of like never thought too much about it. I was like, oh yeah, of course I'm a Pisces. But then I looked up my chart, and I like started like reading about like some of my placements, and I think what really like resonated and what really made me believe in it, or however you want to say it, is having a Scorpio moon.
I was going to ask you. I thought, right when I met you, I was like, I bet she is a Scorpio or a Scorpio placement somewhere.
Oh my
that
God.
energy. My daughter's a Scorpio, and so
Okay.
like I recognize the energy right away.
Really? Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, I would not have clocked Pisces for you. I feel like that would not be the first impression that that you give. I think your moon Mars conjunction in Scorpio is so strong in your chart. In the 7th house, who we were talking about earlier, I feel like the 7th house, it shows like the other and what we're like drawn to in people.
Yeah.
But I feel like because of that, it's what we're projecting out into the world.
Yeah.
And so it's often what people perceive in us first.
Yeah.
And so having your moon Mars in Scorpio as like the first thing people see is powerful.
Well, and also Mars is ruling her 12th house.
True.
So Mars is
Oh,
like
yeah.
in charge of all those things in the 12th house too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
A lot of Martian.
And also my moon Mars Lilith conjunction is right opposite my ascendant.
Yeah.
So yeah,
almost
that's-
exactly.
Yeah, almost exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I got into astrology, and like I mean, as every Scorpio moon, I guess. But I had a great childhood, but at the same time, I had a lot of like intense things happen during my childhood, and like very Plutonian things happen. So yeah, like I read about Scorpio moon, and I was like, oh my god, yes, like this makes so much sense. Like even though Pisces is, I guess, like emotional in some sense, or like 12 housey Neptunian, I feel like it was like a little light for my personality, you know,
right.
like I didn't like fully, as you said, like
Yeah.
relate to it. And I feel like it's weird, but like the more that I grow up, the more that I resonate with Scorpio and Aries, not so much with Pisces. I mean, I guess because I have stelliums in both signs. So yeah, that's how I got into astrology, and I got as well obsessed with astrology. Like I started reading all about it and analyzing other people's charts, and it was like the same thing with astrology. And then for some reason, which is funny because of PCC, like it just makes so much sense. Like at the same time, I started really getting into philosophy, like because of Carl Jung, because I like started getting into typology, and I was like, oh well, Carl Jung was the man who developed this. I also started reading like Nietzsche when I was in high school, which is like whatever.
Of course you did.
But yeah, of course I did. Yeah. And
Again, that moon Mars and Scorpio, I feel like.
Well, and Jupiter too. The 12th.
Yeah.
Jupiter is
Yeah,
all about
Jupiter in
philosophy.
the 12th
So
house,
it's
yeah.
like and Mars, again, Mars ruling over that. You're going to be motivated to
Yeah.
look into all of this stuff, dig it up, figure it
I
out.
feel like Nietzsche's specifically such a Martian
Oh, yeah.
philosopher that with all of your Martian energy, not only like the moon Mars conjunction in your 7th house, but with all of your Aries.
yeah, I feel like he's very like Aries Martian, and also very Plutonian Scorpionic. He has like a Scorpio rising, and then he has a very tight Sun Pluto opposition. And I feel like the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Man must overcome himself.
Totally.
It's very like Martian
Very
Plutonian.
much
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Imagine high school Vero just like getting so into
Yeah. Like emo. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so can you give a brief overview, because I want to hear your perspective of typology and Jungian typology and Myers-Briggs. Can you give a brief overview of what exactly that is, your perspective of it, and then I want to hear how you tie it into like where you find the overlaps with astrology, and also how you tie that into Stan Grof's research.
Okay, sure. So I was telling you guys, but I feel like type, just like astrology, is honestly very hard to grasp. I mean, it's the unconscious, so like it's very hard to describe. But I think that in broad terms, at least when it comes to Myers-Briggs and cognitive functions, there's a lot of like different typologies, like the Enneagram. There are a bunch. But when it comes to the cognitive functions, at least like its name suggests, it basically types people into, different types, of course. How can I say this? It types them depending on their cognition. So like each function is like a different branch, I would say, of cognition. And they tell us how we process information and how we make decisions. which I think is like very crucial to understand that it is about cognition, not personality. I honestly feel like it shouldn't be named personality types, because I feel like it's very similar, even like the same way that we talk about in PCC about archetypal astrology. Like, it's not concretely predictive, it's not archetypally predictive. I feel like it's the same way with type. It doesn't measure personality, it measures cognition. But that's, a very difficult thing to unpack,
Yeah. There was an essay that I wrote last semester on like the concept of style and how in astrology style is used, and that's why somebody can have the exact same birth chart as you, but there's this like other factor that can't be measured, that is the way that you express your birth chart, and that's your own personal style. And it sounds like that's kind of similar too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like understanding this both with astrology and with type is very important, because that's why most people argue that they aren't true or whatever. Like, we shouldn't believe in them, because they're like, oh, like if I am a Scorpio moon and you are a Scorpio moon and we're two completely different people, like how can we both have a Scorpio moon, for example, or if I'm an INFP and you're an INFP, like how are we very different in some ways? But it's because it's about archetypes and because it is about cognition, which cognition I would say, like, for example, let's use the fact that we're both INFPs. So our main cognitive function is introverted feeling, which in broad terms, it is about how, like, the filter that everything goes through when it comes to us, when we process anything, we have to, we see everything through the lens of our wants, our values, our emotions, our what we like and what we don't like, what we feel like is good or bad,
Right.
But that can show up in many different ways, or like everyone has different values, or like what does that even mean,
Right.
So
Well, and also like where someone comes from, their cultural background, our family dynamics, our whether or not we have siblings, all of those things come in. And I also think that it has to do with how our culture is now. And I mean, of course, I'm looking at all of this through a feminist lens. Things like typology, astrology. I always find it funny when people say, oh, I don't believe in that. To me, it's like, so you must know everything about it then, right? You studied it all and you've said, you made this decision. So I think the more, that's one of the reasons why we want to do this, so we can get it out into the world so people don't continue to misunderstand astrology and typology.
Yeah, because it can be such a powerful resource if used, and I don't even say used correctly,
right?
Because there's not like a one way to do it, but when it's used intentionally, I think it can be,
or like healthily, I guess.
Yeah.
And then how do you tie Stanislav Grof's studies? And that's another thing that I want people to know about too, is everything that he did with the BPMs, because it makes so much sense that our very first experience coming into this world is traumatic, and there's probably a lot that's in our unconscious that helps to build these psychological complexes as we go through life. So how do you tie him into what you're going to do, or what you're doing?
I honestly, I don't really, I would have to think more about it when it comes to like tying typology and Stanislav Grof. Like, I don't really know if there's a correlation yet. But I mean, we all know that there is definitely a correlation between Stan and astrology because of the BPMs.
Which can you explain? Just, I know it's like such a loaded topic,
No, don't worry.
but I think probably most people listening aren't familiar with the BPMs. Can you just give like a brief overview of what that means?
No, I think
I don't know if that's possible.
No,
but.
I think it is. I mean, I think we can try. But basically, Stan Grof, as I understand, he was one of the first psychologists / psychiatrists that did research on LSD and psychedelics, and then later on with holotropic breathwork. And when he was doing that, I think all throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s, he realized that a very common thing for people to experience is during like an LSD session or a psychedelic session is to relive their own birth, or to kind of like live through an experience of like birthing. I don't know how to say it, like so and then because of that he realized that there were like sort of like 4 different themes that people would experience when it comes to reliving their birth or living a birth. So they are 4, and he called them the BPMs, and some people only experienced one of those themes during a session, or sometimes they would experience 2, or sometimes the 4, depending on the session. But they're basically kind of like the stages of birth, which the first BPM is when you're in your mom's womb. So, and then I guess something important that I have to say is that he later found out with Rick Tarnas when they worked together that each of these BPMs are connected to one of the 4, how do you say, like the 4 last archetypes,
the outer
of
planets,
the outer planets.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also the BPM stands for basic perinatal matrices.
Yes.
Which is just the long version of that.
Yeah. Exactly. So the first BPM is connected to Neptune, and it's when you're in your mom's womb, and basically Neptunian because you're in water, I guess, and you kind of like feel connected to everything. You are kind of like in this ecstatic, for the most part, if there's nothing disruptive going on, you're kind of like in this very blissful, ecstatic state. And then the second BPM is connected to Saturn, and it is when your mom starts having contractions. So it's when you start feeling like very like, how could you say it, like in this. No, sorry.
Not constriction.
Constriction.
Okay.
Yeah, like you start feeling constricted and
disrupted.
Like like that state in which you were that was like so nice usually.
Perfect bliss starts to be interrupted and kind of.
And you start feeling like suffocated and like very Saturnian things.
The 4 pictures of the baby where they're like.
Yeah, exactly. Where they're like.
In the first one they're smiling, and then the second one
Yeah, exactly. And then the third basic perinatal matrix is the one connected to Pluto, and it is when you're going through the birth canal, so like a very intense, almost like sexual experience, because you're literally going through the canal. I think it is often described as like, like having to go through war almost, like kind of like fighting your way out of the canal. And then the 4th BPM is connected to Uranus, and it's basically when you're born. So
She's been through this intense like tunnel constricting everything, like a total death rebirth process. Everything from where you were before is completely left behind. You go through this constricting, confusing, dark, scary tunnel, and then Uranus is the freedom and the liberation, and also the confusion of, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
In the world.
Yeah,
thank you for that explanation.
No, of course.
So how do you tie in Stan Grof's work with what you do? Like, what do you like to, what aspects of it? Is it the BPM phases that you like to focus on with yours?
Mostly, yes. I still haven't incorporated Stan Grof with like anything that I've done, like with anything that apart from things from PCC, like apart from my school essays. But I've never done a video on the BPMs or I've never written an article that incorporates them, but I do want to do it more in the sense that they're connected to astrology. But I think more than anything, it's like the same thing with the archetypes. Like if you see an archetype, you could also say that thing that you see, like when it comes to the archetype, you can also tie it to like its respective BPM, if it's one of the outer planets, of course. But I think more than anything, I want people to learn about it. Like I could not include it, but I just think it's a very cool thing to include,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, because there's so many ways that I feel like obviously astrology and the BPMs are interlinked. But I feel like astrology and Myers-Briggs and like the Carl Jung's personality or cognition types, I feel like those have to be interlinked. So I feel like there's gotta be, I'm sure there's room for research
Yes.
on typology and BPM.
Yeah.
Can you describe for our listeners the whole situation with Stanislaus Grof and Rick Tarnas coming in and the correlations that they found with the sessions that Stanislaus Grof had patients doing and Rick Tarnas' discovery with the astrology? Because, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a super sick story. So yeah, for sure. So I think it was during the 60s that both Rick and Stan were working at SLN Institute in Big Sur. A very cool place. I had the amazing opportunity to go for a retreat.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I've always wanted to go, yeah.
No, I really hope that they do. If anyone from PCC is listening, we really would like to go or go back. Yeah. But yeah, they were working there together and they kind of like became, I think Stan became Rick's mentor. And at the time, Stan, of course, was a psychiatrist, and then Rick was a historian. But they started working together, and they were conducting psychedelic sessions with clients. And they wanted to find a system that would help them predict what a client or what a patient would experience during a session.
Because they were always different, right?
Yeah, they realized that patients wouldn't have, the same experience all the time. Like it would vary a lot.
In the same environment.
In the same environment,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they tried a lot of different things and nothing would work. And because they were on SLN and, it was sort of like the heart of everything, how can you say, like... everything that has to do with like new age spirituality, of course, like several people recommended to them to try astrology. And at first, because they were both scientists or at least like intellectuals, they were like, oh, like how is astrology gonna work? But they gave it a chance and they realized that it's the only system that actually worked. And since then they've been studying astrology. Rick is a professional astrologer, one of the best out there. He wrote Cosmos and Psyche, one of the best books on astrology. And yeah, like they also developed archetypal astrology. So yeah,
it's super fascinating.
Yeah, when I heard that story, I was like, how can anybody deny it?
Exactly.
How can anybody deny it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just be so wild because they both come from a background of like academia.
Yeah.
Where went to Harvard.
Yeah, where astrology is the pinnacle of pseudoscience, the pinnacle of superstition. And he talks about that in Cosmos and Psyche in his book. But I just can't imagine, like, first of all, having the I guess humility to come from that background and then to actually take something like astrology and decide to give it a chance, decide to take it seriously. Like that takes a big put your pride aside just for the sake of curiosity.
I think that's what true scientists do.
For sure.
Should
Yeah.
do.
100%.
Like all the academics that are like, oh, astrology's crap. It's like, oh, really? I thought academia was all about searching for what is real and what isn't real.
No, you're right. That is like that. I feel like the big breakthroughs always come from somebody either accidentally stumbling upon something or choosing to go into a territory that nobody else wants to, that everybody else thinks is pointless because they just have a hunch. Let's talk about your YouTube channel.
Okay.
What you're doing with your YouTube channel, Archetype Pilled. I guess first just tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel.
So far, I've only done 2 videos. Well, maybe more when this episode comes out. Hopefully more. I've been having a hard time like balancing everything else that I've got, the master's work, etc. But I do want to take it more seriously, like now on. But basically my plan or like my idea with this channel is to, as I said, analyze popular culture, sometimes not even popular culture. Like I also plan to talk about philosophy and literature, also like high culture a little bit, but sort of like a mix of both, and analyze those things through the lens of archetypal astrology, typology, and the BPMs, the basic perinatal matrices. And I would say basically like, I don't know if there's something happening in pop culture, for example, like what I did with Brad Summer that I feel like reflects, like an art or a transit that is happening, like it was happening with Jupiter Uranus. That's something that I would analyze, or something that I would also love to do is to like analyze an artist's chart and see how that comes up in their art or in their music or in whatever they're doing, or kind of like see how that translates in the way in which they've influenced popular culture, or the same with type, like just analyze their type and how that comes up.
That sounds so cool.
Basically, yeah. Thank you.
I'm super excited for you to make more videos and to be able to watch it and share it with everybody, because that just sounds like my own personal interests and things that I find interesting.
I love that.
Where are there specific types that you like? Are in typology, like if we take INFP for example, are there things in a natal chart that you've found reflect types? Like you and I both have an INFP personality, your Myers-Briggs type, and we also both have a Neptune Chiron aspect.
Yeah.
I have Neptune squaring Chiron exactly. You have Neptune sextiling Chiron exactly. Like, do you think that's something that would... Does that make sense? That wasn't the most clear question.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Like, if there's any, like, correlation between...
that you notice.
I want to say no. Or, like, I want to say, like, from what I've experienced, from what I've seen, from, like, the more that I learn about both of these things... I think actually what kind of like makes the most sense, or like gives the more respect to each discipline, is to say no. Because like, for example, let's take archetypal astrology. Like if it is true, which I mean, I guess we all think here at least that it is true, that astrology is not concretely but archetypally predictive, then and this is not only true because of that, at least it's true for me because of my experience, that any type could have any aspects. And like, I think the only thing that I've found which is really interesting is that I've seen how different aspects translate through different types, like manifest in different types. And it's like, oh, it's really interesting how, you know, like a person with a Moon Mars conjunction who is an INFP is basically, or how it manifests through them. And then let's say we have an ESTJ with the same aspect, and how it's sort of different in them. And I think vice versa, like how different types or how was I saying it? Like how I would say like both things are true. Like how different types translate with different charts, or vice versa. Like how aspects translate through different types, if that makes sense. That's what I would say. But because none of it is concrete, none of it is concretely predictive. You can have any type, and you can have any aspect, and you can have any aspect, and you can have any type.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many different ways to express typology. There's so many different ways to be an INFP. There's so many different ways to be a Sagittarius sun.
Yeah.
But these are like separate graphs. Like these are separate scales, separate things. But when you use them together, it creates a tunnel, or it creates, like a line, like 2 points that create a line through something, and it just provides an even deeper understanding into someone's psyche and the multidimensionality of people.
And I mean, I'm not saying it because I like it more, like it's just been like what I've seen, but I also think that it's, more beautiful that way. Like it's more inclusive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I'm like only a little bit sad because I really wanted there to be like a correlation, some correlation somewhere, just because I like patterns in that way.
No. I mean, maybe there is.
Yeah.
That's just what I've seen, but yeah.
Coco, what is your Myers-Briggs? Do you remember?
Remember I took it twice, and the first one was ENFP, and then the second time I took it was INFP. So
are we all INFPs?
All NFPs.
And Josh is an INFP.
Oh, really? I think it makes sense with this line of work.
That's funny.
Would you say that you relate more to being an extrovert or an introvert?
I think when I was younger, and we talked about this also in class too, I think when I was younger I was more extrovert. Now I'm a total homebody, don't like to be around people that often. I mean, not because I don't like people, but I just feel more comfortable in my own little world. So I'm wondering, like, does it change for people as they...
No.
Oh, I asked you that before. You said the same thing. That's right.
I liked how you were explaining extrovert versus introvert before, how it was more of like the way that you process things.
Yes.
It's like, so maybe not so much of like that, do you like being around people or not, but more so is the way that you process the world, is that coming through the filter of yourself and your own experience first, or is it coming through the external world?
That is exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, you got it completely right. That's what I was gonna ask you. With typology, it's like a little different than what we usually think about when we think about extroverts and introverts. Because I actually, like, let's say just as an example, like I actually feel like very extroverted, when it comes to like being social, like I do need like a lot of time. Exactly. Like a lot of people who are also introverts are always like, how are you an introvert? Like you need to be around people a lot of the time, or like you are very social. But like with Myers-Briggs, it's not always about that. It can correlate, and it usually does, but not always. As Jenna was saying, introverted functions are said to be subjective, and then extroverted functions are said to be objective.
It's kind of like I saw a TikTok video that you had posted a long time ago, and it was so enlightening to me about astrology and people's sun placements, and it's the lens through which people see the world. So that is more like what you're or what the typology is about. Not so much like you were saying earlier, our personality, but more like how we move through the world and interpret the world.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because I can't even wrap my mind around the opposite of that. Like for me, the introvert perspective, I see everything through my own experience, my own values, my own feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
What would an extrovert be? Like what are they experiencing the world through?
I mean, I'm also an introvert in that sense, so it's not like I personally know, but maybe Coco, if she realizes that she's an extrovert, would be able to say more about this. But from what I understand, it's like extroverts first have to interact with the outside world, and that's also like why a lot of people get confused, I guess. We think of extroversion as like being around other people or like interacting with other people. And it doesn't have to be people. It can be like experiences. It can be ideas. It can be, you know, like physical things, you know, just like extroverts have to first sort of explore the outside world or interact with it or manage it, you know, and then they come to conclusions through their introverted functions, if that makes sense.
And then one of the things that you were talking about in your presentation in our class were the four functions, right? And what their roles are basically for someone. So the fourth function is the unconscious, right? Or
some people say that it is, yes, but
do you want to explain what? Or do you want to explain the four functions?
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with this. What are the four functions?
So we all have a stack of four functions. Some people say that we use the 8 functions. So you could also say that we have a stack of 8 functions. So we use all the 8 functions, which I think I sort of agree with. But let's just to not complicated. Yeah, exactly. Let's say like we all have a stack of, you know, the first 4 functions that we use, which, you know, for an introvert like us, the first and the third would be introverted, and that's how you kind of like how to say, like that's how you say that someone is an introvert, if their first and third function are introverted, and then their second and fourth functions are extroverted. And with extroverts is the opposite. So like the first and third functions are extroverted, and then the second and fourth functions are introverted.
Interesting.
And the way that you look at the functions, are the functions like the first one would be INFP and then the second one would be E?
Actually, that's good that you say that, because the letters actually have, not that they don't have anything to do with the functions, but it's not the same thing. Like, for example, so the letters would be like you're either an extrovert or an introvert, and that is determined by your first function. So is your first function introverted or extroverted? And then the second letter is if you're an intuitive or a sensor. So if you're an intuitive, either your first or second function is going to be an intuitive one, and if you're a sensor, the opposite, like either your first or second would be a sensing one. And then you can either be a feeler or a thinker, and it's the same with this. If you're a thinker, either your first or second is a thinking function, and if you're a feeler, either your first or second is a feeling one.
So there's the letters, the INFP, the ESTP, or whatever you are, and then the functions are something different. The functions are like zooming in on each of the letters. Yeah. So if I'm an INFP, my first one is I'm an introvert, but then there's like a subsection of being an introvert. Yeah. That is like I can either be an introverted introvert or an extroverted introvert. Is that?
No, not necessarily. So if you're an introvert, as I said, your first function is definitely introverted. Okay. But we all have introverted and extroverted functions. So the only difference is that if you're an introvert, your first function is introverted, and then your second one would be extroverted.
Okay, so then the second function, is that with the N of INFP?
With the N.
So then I'm an introvert, and then intuitive.
You're an extroverted intuitive.
I'm an extroverted intuitive. Yeah. Okay, but if you were an extrovert and your second letter was N, you would be an introverted intuitive?
No. Well, it depends. Like okay, so what is missing is that if you're a judger,
so if your last letter is J.
It's J, yeah. Either your first 2 functions, it's gonna be an either introverted sensing or introverted intuition, and the other first or second function, it's gonna be extroverted thinking or extroverted feeling. So one of those things in combo that makes you like your first 2 functions, that makes you a judger, and then perceivers have either extroverted intuition or extroverted sensing in their first two functions, and then they have introverted feeling or introverted thinking in their first two functions. I don't know if that makes sense. But what were you asking?
I think that answered my question.
Okay.
I was just trying to figure out where the functions. This is so much more complicated than I realized. I didn't know that functions were a thing. So the last letter kind of determines the functions.
Yes.
So if you're either a perceiver or a judger, that is going to be based. That's like what your functions are.
Yeah.
That determines what your functions are and the rest of it. Okay.
And of course, like for example, like for perceiver and judger, you kind of like you can talk about it in a different way, which I mean a lot of people have like a bit of trouble with this because of the cognition, like it's not concretely predictive. But you could say like in broad terms, like judgers are like stereotypically the more like the ones who plan ahead, or the ones that are more organized, or the ones who like to be prepared. And then perceivers, which I mean is all of us, we kind of like go with the flow more, and we're not as organized, and we don't like to plan as much. I mean, that depends. Like that's why a lot of people say that it's not personality. Right. But it's usually the case.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Thank you for going into all of that. That was really helpful, and I'm excited to dive into that more. Do you have that presentation recorded at all? Or
yeah.
Are you gonna post it?
I can.
You should. You should post it on Archetype Pilled. I would love to watch it.
Sure. Will do.
I kind of want to hear about you DJing.
Oh yeah, can we talk about that? What kind of when did this start? And like
it was actually a very random thing. Like I think that I've been more intentional with all the astrology, like typology stuff. Like I've definitely been planning to do something related. Intentional.
You mean like working with your chart, with what goes on with your chart? Is that what you mean?
Not necessarily, but it's something that I've like for a long time, for like a decade, I've been like, I want to do a YouTube channel, or like, I definitely want to work in something that's related. And with DJ, it was like I would have never thought that is something that I would get into. So my best friend in Monterrey, she is really into music, and she's always like, she's the one who's always like showing me like really cool music, and she like got me more into music basically. And one day, I don't know why, like honestly I have no clue why, I like called her and I was like, would you like to go to a DJ class? Like for some reason I just got an urge to like DJ, I guess, even if it's not something that I would have ever thought about. And she was like, oh sure. So we went to a like a trial class. And I ended up sticking with it, and then I ended up realizing that I really like it. So it's been a little bit more than a year, so like I'm still a beginner, but
I bet you're a sick DJ. I feel like you have the look, you have the vibe. I feel like it would be awesome. What's your name? Do you have a DJ name?
I'm still Vero Collins. Like
it's a great name.
I'm working through it. Thank you.
Vero Collins. That's awesome. I forgot I did want to do like a rapid fire typology, like your typology.
Okay.
So I don't know how many. I guess the main ones that I'm familiar with are really just the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs. I'm like, am I forgetting another big one? But
well, there's a lot of like different branches or school of thoughts when it comes to MBTI. So you have, I forgot, but there are
like the big ones that people are familiar with.
Well, like the 16 personalities is one. I forgot the name. There's like a Russian one. I forgot it. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. But there are like 3-4 different systems, or like objective personalities, another one.
Interesting.
But like, I guess the two big ones are, at least that I'm aware of, are Enneagram, definitely, and MBTI. And this, I don't know, this is more like astrology, but like everyone keeps telling me about it. I don't really know anything
Human
about
design.
it. It's human design,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I was. Do you know your human design type though?
I'm the most common one.
Generator?
Yes, yeah.
Sick. Do you know
Nice.
your profile lines?
I don't remember.
Okay, what's your Enneagram?
I'm a 4 wing 5.
Hey, me too.
That makes sense with
Same with Josh.
INFPs. Yeah.
Okay,
makes
that's
sense.
your type. What's your favorite Enneagram type?
4 wing 5.
Hey, so true.
Actually, I don't know if that's true. I feel like it doesn't have like a good rep. But
Sure. Well, it can be your favorite. It doesn't have to be
Thank
other
you.
people's favorites.
Thank
They don't
you,
understand.
Yeah. I also
Um,
like 8.
Okay.
I think 8 is
yeah.
very like Scorpionic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Martian for sure. What's
Yeah.
your least favorite Enneagram type?
My least favorite, probably 3. Yeah. I don't know
Wing
why.
4 or wing 2?
Just like 3 in general. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like very like people pleasing. You know. Yeah.
I can see that for sure. Okay, and your Myers-Briggs, your MBTI is INFP.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
I hate this question because I definitely do have a favorite, but I don't know if I want it to be my favorite.
Oh.
So my favorite is ENTP.
Ooh.
Like I cannot help but just love. Like I have like love-hate relationships with all the ENTPs I know. It's the type that I like. Like honestly, it's the type that I am attracted to the most, like dating wise and romantically, and also friends, like everything. But it's kind of hard. Like I wouldn't say it's the least compatible with INFP, but it's definitely not the most compatible because like not even their fourth function, like their last function, like their polar function is introverted feeling, which is our main function.
Yeah.
And their stereotype is that they're very like insensitive, and we are super sensitive. Exactly.
Interesting.
So yeah, my favorite is ENTP, but it's a little bit complicated.
What's your least favorite?
My least favorite, I don't have like, I love all types, but if I had to choose one that I feel like sometimes like I don't know how to explain it, but like sometimes that I'm like, oh, like I don't know, I don't like it as much, is ISFJ, which is honestly, it's interesting because it's the opposite from ENTP.
Yeah.
Like it's all the
True.
Yeah.
That is super interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in astrology, we know you're a Pisces sun, Scorpio moon, Taurus rising. Do you have a favorite? We'll just stick to sun sign. Do you have a favorite sun sign?
Favorite sun sign? I think it's Aries. Yeah.
There's some very good Aries out there.
Yeah.
I love
Also,
an
my
Aries.
Venus is in Aries.
Yeah,
So like,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Do you have a least favorite sun sign?
Least favorite.
And it can't be Sagittarius or Leo.
Yeah, that's not
No, don't worry. No, it's honestly not. I love fire signs. But I think my least favorite, I don't even know why, like I guess I do know some people that I don't really love with this sign. I mean, honestly, I
Called
like
out.
No, now they know.
They have to guess if you're in Vero's life and you're listening.
No.
You have to guess.
Not true. It's probably not you. No, but I mean, it's the same. Like it's not completely predictive, you know. Like this
Right.
is just for fun. But I think like just like because of vibes, not because of like specific people, but more because of like the vibe that it gives off. I think Capricorn maybe.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. A lot of your chart is, I mean, you have a Taurus rising
Yeah.
and a Taurus Saturn, but besides that, most of your chart is fire and water, which is not earthy.
No.
And
I don't
definitely
like
not
Saturn.
Cardinal Earth is can be tough with that,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah, also like my Aries stellium is like squaring Capricorn, so yeah.
True.
But I do love everyone.
So true. So true. Vera loves everyone. Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
No, I've just been really enjoying listening to,
I'm enjoying it a lot.
everything that Vero has to say. She just, just a wealth of information. And just amazing to get into your mind a little bit.
I've had a lot of fun.
This has been so fun. Do you feel like you, and you can totally say no to this, do you feel like you connect with the archetype of the witch at all? And if so, in what ways, I guess, to close out?
I think I do. I think I do. I mean, astrologically, I'm a Scorpio stellium. I have like Lilith, like almost, as you said, like almost exactly opposite my ascendant. I have Uranus in my midheaven. I have Uranus square my moon and my Mars. And I mean, I can just go on and on. But you know what I mean? Like, I do have like a lot of things that are screaming, witch. And I mean, part of my work is astrology. But just like in a more general sense, I do think that I try to like innovate and disrupt, and at the same time I think that it does happen naturally sometimes, or not even in my work, but just like in my personal life, I can be a little erratic sometimes, which I guess it's a witchy thing. So yeah,
just bold, and I feel like embodying the archetype of the witch is so much more than like doing spells. Although, like, absolutely that is a part of it and can be a part of it, but it's more just like embodying boldly living out your authenticity.
Yes.
Even if it means disrupting the collective paradigm.
Yeah.
And like diving deeper into things and living completely intentionally in the world. Like trying to focus your perspective in a way that is just like focused intention.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like you do embody that so much.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, this was so fun, and I don't know, this is such a great conversation, and I really appreciate you being open to it and sitting down.
Of course. I loved it. I could like do this forever, so.
Us too.
Same, yeah. Welcome into the Coven.
Yes.
Thank you.
Officially an initiate. Now you can sit with Hypatia of Alexandria.
Oh my God.
And
Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene. We haven't done an episode on her, but she's been with us the whole time.
Yeah.
For a little. Oh wait, my mic is over there. I can't do that. Shout out Mary Magdalene. But who else? Who do you feel
Teresa
like?
Urrea,
Who would-
Ana Mendieta.
Who would Vero like? Who do you feel like Vero would connect with the most?
Oh my gosh, that's.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that before.
Well, I recommended you one.
Actually, yeah. Wait, I take that all back. I know exactly. It's because of Vero that I covered Anais Nin.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of our most popular episodes.
Oh my God, nice.
Yeah, so for sure, Anais.
Yeah, I love
think
her.
both of you have this interest in depth psychology, and
We're both Pisces.
You're both
so-
Pisces with Neptune on your midheaven.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, that's so true.
She also has Lilith in her IC, which is not the same, but Lilith on the DC.
Well, just a prominent Lilith placement we found is always like kind of correlated with the people that we are feeling are witchy.
Okay.
And
that
our
makes sense.
definition of witchy.
Okay, cool.
She seems to be prominently placed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you get to hang out with Anais now.
Yes, my dream, honestly.
We love her. Okay, sick.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
been lovely.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. This is always awkward.
This is always awkward. This has been another episode of Coven. Tune in next time.